I thank the chairman, and I appreciate the changes that were negotiated regarding a number of provisions of the bill, and we do have residual concerns about provisions within this legislation. It's difficult to deal with fisheries issues because you're always balancing between conservation needs and sustainability and current impacts on coastal communities and those who fish for a living commercially or are dependent upon the recreational aspects of fishing, which both representing half the Oregon coast, I'm very well aware of, and having grown up on the East Coast and actually having been out to George's Banks in a small boat when I was young and foolish with a neighbor in the old days when there were more fish to catch there. I'm familiar with some of those issues over time too. We need to be careful in reauthorization. This was, it has been traditionally a very bipartisan exercise, and this is in good part bipartisan, and I appreciate that. And it has also been not without controversy over time. The issue of flexibility, there already is flexibility in the existing law, whether it has been used adequately or properly in some cases is in question. This does add additional provisions. One which we can support is the doing away with the hard 10-year cap, which is never necessarily a hard 10-year cap in any case, and going to one generation plus the no fishing reconstruction of stocks. There are other provisions, and the change of the word back to practicable from possible is of concern. Because we did have the word practicable in earlier versions of the Act and found that it, in some cases, councils felt that gave them license to basically ignore any requirements toward rebuilding, and we don't want to go back to those bad old days, and hopefully the majority feels that will not result because of other provisions of law, but that is a concern. Some of these problems were brought on by the agency itself. The agency was in a prior authorization required to essentially streamline or as much as possible integrate the NEPA and the MSA process, working with councils. They have done nothing. And I believe that the majority, in reaction to that bureaucratic delay, is going to a point where, with the NEPA changes that are going to cause controversy and concern about the adequacy of public participation and how other agencies will be able to interface with actions being taken by councils. We have an alternative regarding that. In my region, they rushed forward with a catch share that was not complete, and a number of us who represented impacted areas expressed concerns at the time that there were a number of major issues that weren't addressed, and the agency said, oh yeah, you're right, we should have addressed those things, but we didn't, we don't want to, we don't have time now, but we'll do trailing amendments later. Well, here we are 5 years later, still waiting for trailing amendments, so now this bill has a provision that you'll have to have referenda for future catch shares, again, because of agency created problems. The electronic monitoring, I appreciate what the majority did there. We really need to move as quickly as we can to electronic monitoring to remove the burdens, particularly on smaller boats, of carrying observers. Both the cost of the observers and the actual physical presence of observers can be problematic on a small boat. And those, again, we have not seen the agency and or the councils moving quickly enough, in my opinion, in those areas. So some of what the majority is proposing here really is in reaction to a bureaucracy that has created some problems, and then unfortunately we get legislative overreaction at times. So that said, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate all the changes that have been made and the working that we have done together, and we will have a few amendments that we'll offer vainly to the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.